Monster Synthesis Master. Chapter 311 The Aftermath. 1 minute was just right. The Special Forces soldiers saw everything in front of them and looked at Link in a new light. He launched an attack on the enemy's camp with his own power, and in the end, he killed the Allied forces until they were completely routed, and they flew away when disaster came. To the soldiers who worshipped the strong, there was nothing more shocking than this scene. Looking at the fighters of Kylan Hall, they were all fully armed. From helmets, wireless communication devices to bulletproof vests, submachine guns in their hands, pistols at their waists, and even limited edition sniper rifles. Their equipment was not much inferior to that of Special Forces. This guy was actually training the thugs from the slums like soldiers. The hatchet men from Kylan Hall wanted to give chase but were stopped by Link, who had just returned from going against the flow. He raised his hand and stopped everyone. He gave the order, and no one chased after him. Don't chase after a desperate enemy. Bob, bring your brothers to clean up the battlefield and collect the loot. Hwalala. All the hatchet men put away their weapons, and under Bob's lead, they began to collect their spoils in batches. Link walked to the Mun Kingdom's commander and apologized. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Commander. Commander Mun's solemnness was swept away and a smile finally appeared on his face. When Li told me that you were stronger than him, I didn't believe him. I thought that although young people are strong, there must be some emotional elements in it. I've watched Xiao Li grow up step by step. The achievements he has now are all due to his injuries and hardships, so I know how difficult it is to get to this point. But after seeing you today, I have a whole new level of respect for you. Link grinned. There was no one else around, so there was no need to hide. You're too kind, Commander. Captain Li and I are both teachers and friends. If it wasn't for Captain Li, I wouldn't have achieved what I have today. Li Zijun's face, which had been tensed up, suddenly fell. She felt that Link was being sarcastic. The Mun Kingdom commander patted Link's shoulder. I still have to thank you again. I've always been worried about Benjamin. He's a little too naive and isn't suitable for the army, Commander Mun said as he glanced at Benjamin. Benjamin was so frightened that he immediately kept his smile and straightened his back to act as his personal guard. The struggle in the military is also very intense. I originally planned to wait until I couldn't do it anymore and retire, so that little Li could take care of me. I didn't expect that after I came back last night, Xiao Li told me everything that happened in Shandu in the past few months. Only then did I know that you wanted Benjamin to be your adjutant so that he could make a name for himself. It finally dawned on Link why he hadn't seen Captain Li and Benjamin chatting with him recently. They were preparing in advance after knowing that Commander Mun was returning. I don't need to thank you, just do a good job in the future. Although I was the one who recommended you to be the battalion commander, this department is outside of the 4 military departments, and is considered a newly established independent organization. So, when you are in charge, try to be fair and do not give the other 3 departments an excuse to impeach you. Commander Mun chuckled. Because I'm the one who suggested it, the people from the other 3 divisions have been brooding over it. They even wanted to add their men, and that's why you'll face as much difficulty as you do in the slums. This was the corporate understanding of the Mun Kingdom's veteran military. Link listened carefully to prepare for his appointment. Did the general say anything about my current situation? Don't worry about that. The military will check the background information before the appointment. The general's original words are that as long as it's beneficial to the military and Shandu, he'll give the green light. With these words, Link could finally relax. At the same time, he also understood the underlying meaning from Commander Mun's report. It seemed that the Machinery Faith and the Wasteland Gang had not been very peaceful recently. Otherwise, Alongso would not have said things like a good cat that can catch a mouse. All right, I'll hand the letter of appointment to you personally. My mission for today is considered complete. The Mun Kingdom's commander only came here to see Link personally. With his ability to judge people, he felt that this young man wasn't bad. He had saved Benjamin's life and had a good relationship with Li Zijun. His strength was indeed as strong as Li Zijun had said. They could be used as strong reinforcements for both public and private reasons. The Mun Kingdom's commander turned and left. Link gestured to Li Zijun to make a call. He still had some matters to consult later. Li Ziqi nodded. Benjamin also took this opportunity to wave at Link and left with the other special forces. After Commander Mun left, the fifth elder of the Moon Shadow Council behind Link walked forward. Since the matter has been settled, I'll bring my men back. Elder Lin, remember to come back and shop when you're free. Many druid apprentices regard you as their idol. Link glanced at the druids behind him. Other than the shimmering color in their eyes, they were all looking at Link with deep admiration. To be able to control so many wild beasts by himself, he was indeed the strongest genius in the history of the Moon Shadow Council. 1 against 100, unscathed, and annihilated in the midst of laughter. Link could already imagine how the druids would exaggerate his story to the newbie druids. Sigh, my reputation in the Moon Shadow Council is probably going to rise again. Alright, I'll go over when I'm free. Not long after the fifth elder left with the Moon Shadow Council's druids, Link returned to the Kylan Hall with his pets and the injured. Because they were all fully armed, these injured members were not injured in any vital parts. Most of them were shot in their limbs, which lacked protection. Under the blood slug's careful blood transfusion, all of them went from moaning to jumping around. Rat Secret Agent Team, I know you didn't have enough fun today. I'll give you another mission. The 5 fat rats immediately stood up straight and waited for their master Link's orders. You guys take 5 spy mice to meet Ying Luo. In today's battle, Link had put on a show with Fu, Alan, and Mr. Kong. The 3 of them were the first to react today, and could be said to be the main force to save the Emperor. The Hidden Alliance, the Freemasonry, and Dasaka had all lost hundreds of men in this battle. Link could even foresee that the 3 forces would fight each other over the recruitment of new blood in the near future. As for the internal higher UPS, they had also lost many core members in this battle. They had to be punished and rewarded for their contributions. The status and power of the 3 of them in their respective forces would probably rise. Calming down was the most important thing after a defeated army returned, so Link arranged for the Rat Secret Service team to take the spy rat and collect information. I hope today's action can complete the second section of Seamless, Power in Hand. In a short time, the 4 major forces in the slums would not be able to launch a large-scale war against Kylan Hall. Now that Link was an official, no one dared to test the official's attitude. Everyone was waiting for the other forces to be the ones to stroke the tiger's whiskers. Now that he had already shed all pretenses of cordiality with the 4 forces, Link wanted to take advantage of this time to consolidate his advantage. Link had achieved all his goals in this battle. He even found out that Matthew was Moro's secretary, Kolar, and he was happy to have the epic weapon Kolar's dagger. In terms of experience, Link's rate of harvesting in the last minute was unusually high. He killed many high-level members of the 4 major factions, including the 9-striped dragon. In addition to the invisible killer bees and the silver army ants, he gained a total of 110000 experience points, just enough to make up for the experience he had spent on leveling up. Chapter 312 Adding Oil to the Fire, Adding Hail to Snow, 8. Later that night, Bob and the others returned from the front line with the spoils of war. Even though it was late at night, the entire Kylan Hall was still brightly lit. The injured members had already recovered and were celebrating wildly with the returning thugs. Today's battle had made everyone feel elated. The Kylan Hall had suppressed the 4 major forces in the slums and even won the final victory. This was unprecedented in the history of the Sand Capital. Moreover, his boss had also received a letter of appointment personally issued by General Alongso, the official general of Shadu. He would be a member of the military in the future. To these thugs who were like mice seeing cats when they saw soldiers, they didn't need to hide anymore. They even dared to claim to be non-staff members of the army and try to get close to them. Usually, he didn't feel anything. He just felt that the salary and benefits were slightly better than other guilds. However, only after he dragged them out to fight today did he realize what kind of trash weapons the other gangs used. Only the core elites had good weapons to use. The ordinary fighters and peripheral members even used second-hand guns that they bought from the old goods market. On the other hand, the people from Kylin Hall were fully armed from head to toe, no worse than the fox hunting special forces. The equipment would cost at least a few thousand yuan. In order to ensure their safety, their boss had generously stocked up a batch of equipment, which they had no idea about before. A sense of superiority welled up in him when he saw the enemy he had feared like a tiger before. Excellent weapons and equipment, as well as an abundance of ammunition, caused the terrifying battles between sects in the past to become one-sided. Even if they did not have as many people as the other party, as long as they had guns, they could form a suppressive fire. In the slums, 3 to 5 people with submachine guns could stop the attack of dozens of people. He had never felt this kind of confidence before. Listening to the members' passionate retelling of their memories, the members who stayed in Kylin Hall all sighed and hated that they were not selected to witness the rare big scene. On the other hand, Team 7, which was full of undercover spies, was in a low mood. They were worried about their own forces and had to force a smile. In the inner court, Bob and Fred were reporting today's harvest to Link after they had done the calculations. "Boss, we killed a total of 356 enemies in this operation and seized a total of 374 firearms of all kinds and a number of bullets. The rough estimate is that they are worth less than 200,000 wasteland coins. Cash and other items found on the enemy, a total of 23,529 wasteland coins, and a number of personal belongings." After Fred's report, he was calm. In the past, Fred would have been overjoyed to hear that they could seize so many guns. But now, he was used to big scenes. Seeing that the 374 guns were valued at less than 200,000 yuan, he knew that they were not good. Link didn't think much of it. He could have made more money by simply holding an exhibition for these pets. "Bob, what's the situation on your side?" Bob stood up. "Boss, we've taken over all of the Matthews territory. We've got the accounts for the junkyard and the water treatment plant. We're going to show them to the supervisor after the meeting." After the two reported, Link glanced at them. The 3 deacons and the manager of Lin's group, Penny Penguin, formed the top management of Kylin Hall. Although this matter has come to an end, the end is the beginning. "Now, I have a new task for you." Upon hearing that there was a new mission, the little eyes of the penguin lit up. As a pet with dreams and goals, its mission was to prove its self-worth. The 3 deacons all straightened their backs and perked up their ears, afraid to miss a word. "After this battle, the water transportation gang has been completely cut off from us. From now on, the Kylin Hall is no longer a vassal of any power, but an independent force. So tomorrow, Bob, you go and negotiate with the 7 small gangs under us. Those who are willing to follow us can continue, and those who are not can choose to leave." Bob nodded like a chicken pecking at rice, indicating that he had noted it down. Secondly, after the end of this battle, the middle and lower levels of the 4 forces have suffered heavy losses, and they will definitely need to recruit a lot of new blood in the short term. Although the 4 forces had joined forces today, they were quick in recruiting, so they were all competing with each other. After all, there were only so many young talents in the slums. If your family scammed a few away, I would have a few fewer. The 4 forces will definitely be envious of the recruitment and even have conflicts. As the 5th most powerful faction, how can we not get involved? Link shrugged. As long as they can't recruit anyone, it'll be us adding more people. There's nothing wrong with this theory of relativity, right? The 3 deacons all laughed when they heard this. As for the method, you can just ask Penny when the time comes. He knows more methods, and he can do whatever disgusting thing he wants. Even if we manage to recruit people, we'll make them feel disgusted. The penguin, Pony, extended its wings and patted its stomach. "Don't worry, boss, leave this to me. I can't go to the battlefield, but I'm good at these tricks. After all, I'm the one who added fuel to the fire and made things worse for the number one goose. Thirdly, we're considered to have established our own faction now, so we don't have to abide by the peace rules that the other 4 factions have agreed on. I'll take advantage of you when you're down. In the next few days, I can arrange for people to expand the territory." Upon hearing that they could fight for territory, Bob and Quentin's eyes lit up. They had been looking forward to this day for a long time. Previously, due to the peace treaty between the 4 major forces, they could not make a move openly. Now, they could finally snatch the territory openly. This will be the focus of the next 2 weeks. I look forward to seeing your results. I promise to complete the mission. After the meeting, the deacons and the supervisor left. After a while, the Rat Secret Service team returned with 5 spy rats. Today, this group of little guys had completed their tasks very quickly. It was probably because the major forces had suffered significant losses and their defense and patrol had slacked. Link imported the 3 audio clips from the spy mouse into his computer. As expected, Fu, who had reacted quickly and saved the Archcardinal's life, was now fully trusted. They began to give Fu some power. It sounded like they were letting Fu participate in the Freemasonry's daily approval process and help the Archcardinal share some of the pressure. At the same time, Fu also revealed that the 9-patterned dragon's soul had been completely absorbed and was stored in the Ling Vulture Palace. Alan had been highly regarded by the Shaman King because of his mysterious and friendly talent, and he was being trained to be the next leader. This incident had further proven Alan's ability to see the big picture and adapt to changes. Although the Shaman King had not promised anything, he had pulled Alan to talk about a lot of secrets about Dasaka that night. He would definitely value him even more in the future. The one who received the biggest harvest this time was the 3rd brother, Mr. Kong. Because they had already exchanged slogans with Simon before, and they had made great contributions in covering Count Dracula's retreat, as well as killing a portion of the core members with the gargoyles sniping, the 2 of them had been given a lot of power and work, and could be considered to have a real foothold and voice in the core circle. After listening to the 3 audio messages, a series of system notifications appeared. "Congratulations on completing the 2nd mission of Inferno, Power in Hand. You have received 200000 experience points. Purple-colored material Dragon's Blood X1, blue-colored material Mithril Ingot X1, blue-colored material Fire Elemental Particle X1. At the same time, Lin K's mission list was updated with new missions. You have activated the 3rd mission of Seamless, Power as 1. Establishing mission hint, the 3 people who sneaked into the enemy's camp have gained the trust of their respective forces and gained enough power to affect the balance. Now, it's time to gradually pull in the net and unite the divided rights. Let everyone know who the true king of the slums is. Mission description: destroy the Freemasonry, Dasaki, the Hidden Alliance, and the Shipping Gang. Not necessary. Quest reward: 400000 experience points. A random purple-colored material, a spirit crown blueprint. P.S. Brother is so cute. Seeing that Wanjun has been updating so diligently these few days, I'll give you some recommendation tickets and monthly tickets as a reward. Chapter 313 Link's Rise is Unstoppable. As expected of a B-rank chain mission, the experience reward for the final round is almost as good as an A-rank mission. After reading the new mission, Link turned to look at the rewards for the 2nd round. He accepted the 200,000 experience and a bottle of Dragon's Blood for the epic material. Dragon's Blood was an extremely precious material with a wide range of uses. On a novice planet with a modern background like the Wasteland planet, such a material would not easily appear. Even on planet Pandora, which specialized in magic and Esper abilities, Dragon Blood and Dragon Scales were extremely precious resources. Link's first thought was to synthesize such a precious epic material. With his previous experience with the Sound Suppression Stone, Link was sure that if he matched epic materials with the right creature, he would definitely be able to create an epic synthetic creature. He put the reagent bottle aside and looked at the second material, an excellent mithril ingot. It was not a mithril ore, but a whole piece of pure mithril ingot that had been smelted and shaped. The silver-white surface exuded an alluring and gentle luster, and it was much lighter than steel. What was even more peculiar was that this metal had a considerable affinity with magic, and mithril was often added to the manufacturing of powerful magic weapons. The system's description only had 8 short words: light as a feather, strong as a dragon's scale. The last item was a pure red ball the size of a goose egg, a fine-quality fire elemental particle. It was a solid state formed from pure fire elements and could be classified as magic. Link placed the 3 elements in a secret room in his study. Looking at the various materials on the shelf, Link couldn't help but sigh. It's really inconvenient without Fu by my side. Epic materials: new branch of the divine tree Noah, fragment of the wind's heart, dragon's blood. Excellent grade materials: nerve poison, mithril ingot, fire elemental particles, moonwell water. Excellent grade materials: painter's pencil, high concentration liquid explosive, paralyzing poison. In addition to these materials, there was also the royal ring that Link had taken from Howl Castle and the mysterious black metal rod from the recording pen in the underground box. Closing the door, Link returned to his study. He noticed that the green light on his phone was flashing. He unlocked his phone and saw a few missed calls and text messages. The first message was from Anna. After learning about the battle at midnight, Anna had woken up immediately to call Link, but no one picked up. She then sent Link a message of more than 100 words, fully expressing her concern and worry for Link. Link was touched by this. To prevent Anna from worrying, he immediately replied, "Awesome." The second text message was from Mr. Turtle, Wu, who had to think twice. He also called but no one answered, so he sent a text message. Link could guess what they were going to say. They would definitely say that he was too weak to persuade the Green Dragon boss. Then they would scold the Green Dragon for being inhumane. They would then talk about the past to build a better relationship and express their support for Link. After reading it, Link realized that it was exactly as he had expected. To this, Link only wanted to say, "I, Link, have godly emotional intelligence." The third message was from Mina. She said a lot, but there were only 3 words in between the lines: "Wan na meet." As a young man of the new era who had broken free from vulgar interests, Link naturally scoffed at such power deals. He replied with 3 words, filled with righteous indignation. "When?" Although the main road of the slums had a battle and all the doors and windows were closed, the news of the battle of hundreds of people was like the stench of the waterway in the windy world. It could not be blocked. Soon, all the major forces in the Sand Capital would know the result of this battle. Link had led his pet army and the members of the Kylan Hall to defeat the 4 gangs in the slums, causing heavy losses. Link walked to the window and looked at the blood moon that had moved to the other side. When this blood moon disappeared, the sky in Sand City would change. Moro's uptown of the Sand Capital. Moros looked at Kolar's body that Tai had carried back and remained silent. He had been eating watermelons along the way, but he didn't expect to get a watermelon at his house today. In order to prove that he wasn't weaker than Link, his capable General Kolar had changed his name and identity to the slums to start all over again. In the end, he had died at Link's hands, proving that he was indeed inferior to Link. Moros did not know if he should be happy or sad about the absurd ending. He sighed and said, "Alas, Kolar was defeated by his stubbornness in the end after all. You've been with me for 6 years, give him a proper burial." Moros patted Kolar's cold shoulder and walked out of the mortuary. The servants at the door brought warm water and a basin to wipe Moros' hands. Moros lit a cigar with a matchstick and puffed out smoke. "I have to say that the Mun Kingdom's move is brilliant." The first thing he did when he returned was to help Link establish a good relationship with the military. Then, he would place his son as the new deputy in the department. With Link's ability in taming wild beasts, it was only a matter of time before the Special Operations Unit earned its merits. This move hit Alonso's suspicious mind. The Mun Kingdom was his most trusted subordinate, and he also had a good impression of Benjamin. He would first hire Link as the battalion commander, and when the dog was successfully tamed, Link would retire, and Benjamin would have to take the lead. The fact that the son of Aisha is in charge of this department is enough to make him feel at ease. And there's Link. I've been watching his every move, but I didn't expect him to grow to the point where he can fight against the entire slum district in just a few months. In the end, I still misjudged him. Boss, I said, Link's influence is gradually rising. It's starting to affect your control over the slums. What do we do next? Morose puffed out a cloud of smoke and looked at the night view through the window. It felt like he was looking at flowers in the fog. What do we do, Yingluo? What do we do, Yingluo? What do we do, Yingluo? The next day. Early in the morning. After the news spread throughout the night, all kinds of newspapers and media were reporting on the matter in the morning. The morning news of Shandu even used the title "Drastic Changes in Shandu, Unprecedented Changes in the Landscape in the Past 40 Years" to report on the battle last night. Link woke up despite his sleepiness. He went to the study after washing up. As usual, breakfast was placed on the table at just the right time, with a stack of newspapers beside it. Other than the Wasteland Star Morning Post, which was the Freedom Federation's official newspaper, which didn't mention the upheaval in the slums of Shadu, the Shadu Entertainment News, the Streets, and other newspapers all had their first pages reserved for Link. Lin K turned on the television and saw the two hosts and a guest of the morning news. The Shadu TV station's host, Andrew, the first female host, Nicole, and a social relations professor were guests. The three of them started a conversation about Link's rise and the changes in the slums. On the 6th of July, year 42 of the Wasteland calendar, no one in Shatu could escape the bombardment of news from Link. Your influence +1. 8 influence. Link had truly stepped into the top of the Sand City. He would become in existence on the same level as Alonso, the ruler of the Sand City, Derek, the king of the underground black market, and Morose, the economic emperor. Chapter 314 Joining the Military, Benjamin's Wedding. Link flipped through the tabloids on the streets. As they were tabloids focused on gossip, there were no page restrictions, so the news was even more explosive. There was also a timeline on the streets. From the time Link first entered Shandu to the time he confronted the other forces yesterday, only 3 months had passed. In between, he had killed the leader of the Jack Gang and taken over. To getting rid of the White Crane Hall and becoming one of the 6 halls of the Water Transportation Gang, then to the Rare Animal Beauty Contest, he went against the uptown nobles and established the Pig Banquet. Along the way, Link's style of doing things had always been flamboyant and head-on. The opponents he encountered were always stronger than him, but he never had stage fright. He always chose to face the difficulties. However, the more Lin K read, the more he felt that the style was strangely familiar. At first, it looked very realistic, but soon, the details of the battle scene that he was in made it seem unreal to him. Link skipped the middle and went straight to the end. He finally found the reason for the familiarity. At the end of the report, it said, "This report is interviewing an old man of Kylan Hall who doesn't want to be named." The report is true. Seeing the words "the old man of the Kylan Hall who doesn't want to be named," Link understood everything. Kylan Hall only had one old man. Link could already imagine the scene of the old man in his undershirt, a teapot in one hand and a fan in the other when the reporters interviewed him. Although nearly 80% of the content in the interview manuscript had been modified and beautified, there was one thing that the old man did not exaggerate, and that was this interview. The reporter asked, "Grandpa, what do you think of Master Lin?" The grandpa, who didn't want to reveal his name, thought, "Clan leader Lin, what else can you say? I've never seen such a perfect person. If you really want to say it, then I'll say it from these few angles." The first was his appearance. There was nothing to say about this. He had sword-like eyebrows, star-like eyes, and a handsome face. He was now the dream lover of all the women in Chitu. In terms of personality, he has a will as strong as steel. Ever since he entered the Sand Capital, he has encountered many powerful enemies, but he has never backed down. He will draw his sword whenever he meets an enemy. This is also the reason why the hall is so proud of us. After reading it, Link frowned. He didn't remember saying anything like that. However, it was quite reasonable, and others couldn't say it. It must have been accidentally said when he was talking to everyone and was heard by the grandpa. Yes, that must be the case. Link put down the newspaper. The reports were basically the same. Since the Kylin Hall had successfully resisted the alliance of the four major forces in the slums yesterday, the Kylin Hall was destined to walk on a path that no one had ever walked before. The four major forces in the slums would never return, and there would be 5 major forces in the future. Lin Ke took out his phone and called Li Ziqi. Hey, old Li, are you free today? I'm going to the military department to take up a post today. If you're free, come over and be my guide. I also have some questions to ask you. What a coincidence, I also have something to tell you. I'll see you at the entrance of the military headquarters later. Link hung up and walked out of the backyard. In the front yard, he saw an old man squatting at the foot of the south wall, basking in the sun and chatting. When the old man saw Link, he shivered in fear. From his twinkling eyes, he knew that he was up to no good. Link was in a good mood. He patted the old man's shoulder as he passed by. The interview was well said. The grandpa's face bloomed into a smile when he heard that, but his wrinkles were twisted together like an old chrysanthemum. Link thought that with the old man's eloquence, he could definitely be trained to become the Kylin Hall's official spokesperson in the future. He picked a member and drove him to report to Uptown headquarters. Today, other than joining the military, Link also had to find Li Zijun to consult her on the issue of being promoted to a leader. The path of promotion required him to consult a commander-level NPC on the promotion method. The only leader-level NPC that Lin Ke knew and had a good relationship with was Li Zijun. I'll use this guy as a tool and bring him through the military registration process today. When they arrived at the Uptown district, a jeep was already waiting at the gate. After Link got out of the jeep, Li Zijun, who was in the front passenger seat, also got out. She looked at Link and said awkwardly, "Are you thinking that Sandu isn't lively enough today? Are you preparing to make some more news?" Today, the entire Sand City, from the government to the citizens, was only discussing Link's matter. In the past, other than General Alongso, only Derek, the king of the underground black market, and Moros, the economic emperor, had such influence and fame. Now, there was an additional name behind the names Link. This guy couldn't wait to report to the military today. Was he preparing to push the fire even higher? "With my current influence," said Link, "every move I make is news. Do I need to make more news? I'm here today to ask you about some things. Reporting to you is just a convenient excuse." Tisk, 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 you're indeed a figure on par with the 3 emperors of Shudu. Tell me, what's the matter? "There's no rush," said Link, "let's find a place to sit down and talk after we're done with the procedure." Lin Ke took the letter of appointment and walked into the military area with Li Zijun. The military area was huge, and a solemn square was right in front of them. At the far end of the square was a 5-story office building. The military office is right in front. The general signed the letter of appointment yesterday, and with last night's incident, I'm sure the military already knows about you. The process was just as Li Zijun had said. Link was now a well-known figure in the entire Shitu. In addition, he was the leader of a gang in the slums, the killer of the Platinum Hotel, and the battalion commander of a newly established department. These 3 identities were unprecedented. Every time he arrived at a department, the clerk in charge of administrative duties would secretly look at Link. People in other positions also ran over to watch. There were even many female soldiers who risked leaving their posts to see what the dream lover of all the noble women in the uptown looked like. After completing all the procedures, Li Zijun patted Link's shoulder awkwardly and explained, "They're not usually like this." "I understand. After all, there aren't many as handsome as me in the army," said Link, nodding. Li Zijun brought Link to the meeting room and made 2 cups of tea. "All right, can we talk about what happened now? Tell me about your business first. What do you want from me?" Li Zijun took out a red bomb from her bag and said, "Benjamin's wedding is scheduled for next Wednesday. This is the invitation for you." "So fast?" Link blurted out. Li Ziqi nodded. "After all, the commander has returned this time around. We should take this opportunity to settle the matter. Recently, the Machinery Faith and the Wasteland Gang have been getting restless. Who knows when the commander will have another mission?" "You're right," Link agreed. "All right, now you can tell me why you're looking for me. Why are you being so mysterious?" Link put the invitation away and leaned forward. His expression was serious as he said, "Do you know how to break through the shackles of your body and advance to the next stage?" Chapter 315 The Requirements to Advance to Commander Tier. Li Ziqi was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect Link to actually ask this question. "What? Have you already felt the shackles on your body?" Link nodded seriously. He didn't seem to be faking it. Li Zijun lowered her head slightly and thought for a moment. "Oh, it should be because of yesterday's battle. Your essence, energy, and spirit have all been gathered to the peak. You have to know that other than your own strength, great power and wealth can also provide a person with a strong aura, and this aura will nourish and temper the body, thus achieving the effect of cultivation. In yesterday's battle, you showed your power. Kylan Hall fought against the 4 gangs in the slums and achieved an unprecedented achievement. Do you know how I managed to break through this barrier in the past?" Li Zijun asked. Lin Ke stared at Li Zijun speechlessly. He came here to look for an answer. If he knew, why would he come here to ask for advice? Li Zijun also made a small joke. She hurriedly waved her hand and said, "All right, let's stop joking around. After I felt the shackles, I had been suffering from no progress. After that, the army-wide martial arts competition happened to be in the process of selecting the Weapon King, so I signed up for it. With the accumulation of victory after victory, I finally felt that the shackles had loosened. I calmed down and thought about it carefully. Only then did I understand that the shackles were a summary of your previous experiences. If you wanted to break through the shackles, you had to walk out of the system of your predecessors and create your own style and combat techniques. I perfected my martial arts technique through continuous battles in the military tournament and finally created the military way Killing Fist. After that, the military way of Killing Fist was first created, but it wasn't perfect. I had no choice but to find someone to fight in the octagonal cage. When the military way of Killing Fist was finally perfected, whether it was the body or the concept, everything was suddenly enlightened." Link's eyes lit up. "So," he said, "the way to break through the shackles is to walk the path of the predecessors and create a unique skill that belongs to you." Li Zijun hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "Others don't know, but I have indeed fumbled my way through, from confusion to certainty." Finally, Link received a system notification. Unlocking the conditions for the path of promotion. Please create a skill with a rating of no lower than grade A. Mission road to promotion has been updated. Link glanced at it. The mission requirement had changed from asking for a promotion method to creating a skill that was not lower than A rank. From high to low, there were 5 levels, S, A, B, C, and D. They corresponded to legendary, epic, excellent, and normal. Creating an A-rank skill meant creating an epic rank skill. This thing was not something that just anyone could conjure out of thin air. The most important thing was that the system was really weird. It only told Link about this. Why did it not give him any notifications about the self-creation? In comparison, Li Zijun was simply a good brother. She told Link all her confusion and insights, hoping that Link could break through his shackles as soon as possible. Link benefited greatly from listening to this and finally had an idea. "Old Li, you're my good brother." Link placed his hand on Li Zijun's shoulder, his eyes filled with gratitude. Li Zijun also put her hand on Link's shoulder and said, "I hope you can break through soon." As they walked out of the military area, Li Zijun said before bidding farewell, "You're officially reporting in today. The establishment of the Special Operations Battalion is in full swing. If there are no accidents, the Army, the Fox Special Forces, and the Special Forces will be transferred to form a new army. As for the organization and scale, it'll be around 500 people. The military will inform you after the organization is completed. It'll take about 5 to 10 days. You should make good use of this time to comprehend it. Once you take over, there will be a lot of things to do, and I'm afraid you won't have time." Link gave an OK sign, and the two returned to their respective cars, leaving with their backs facing each other. Lin Ke thought carefully about Li Zijun's words. He had analyzed it from his battle habits. Since he wanted to create his own skill, the skill he created would definitely be the most suitable for him. Lin Ke glanced at his skills pane. Normal level 10 skills, Poison, Eye of the Beast, Hidden Weapon, Forward Punch, Rush, Crane Form Punch. Supporting Life Skill, Coin Divination. Unique Skills, Bullet of Misfortune Level 1, Apocalypse Level 1. Legendary Skill, Mirror Man. Link had a total of 10 skills. He was now level 30, which meant that he could learn 5 more skills. As for his current skills, Link was more inclined towards the pugilist path. He mainly focused on pugilist and stalker skills. Therefore, if he wanted to create his own skill, he would definitely take the path of a pugilist. But here came the awkward part. Link already had an A-grade pugilist skill Apocalypse. It would be a waste to create another. I have 730000 experience points now. I can totally change the direction of my self-created skills after learning 5 more skills and light up the abilities of other elements. Link's eyes were on the Esper, Mechanic, and Mystic classes. The Star Lord of the Abandoned Earth Star was a pugilist and a mechanic, but he also had many Esper and Mystic abilities. If a ratio had to be given, the pugilist and mechanic classes would each take up 35%, while the Esper and Mystic classes would each take up 15%. The scales were swaying back and forth between the remaining 3 choices. After thinking for a moment, Link decided to follow his old path and go down the path of mysticism. After all, Link had been a pugilist in his previous life, and his sub-profession had been a vampire. Due to his familiarity with the occult magic, Link believed that he could use his experience to gain more advantages. If there was a successful experience, why not use it as a reference? Why walk an unknown old path? Moreover, Simon, Mr. Kong, Alan, and AFO could all be considered part of the Department of Mysticism. It would be too easy for Link to get something good. "Let's change our route, we'll go to the library first," Link said to the driver. He would go to the library and look for any mystic skill books. At the same time, he would consult the old librarian to see if he had any insights on self-created skills. The subordinate changed his route obediently and arrived at the library of Sha City in minutes. As the working partner of the city library, Link was treated with the best service and hospitality the moment he arrived. "Mr. Lin, these are the books for this month that the head of the club has reminded me to prepare for you. I was going to deliver them to your house personally, but I didn't expect you to come today." Link took the bag and glanced at it. Seeing that Jenny was nowhere to be seen, he teased, "It's fine. I'll tell her that I didn't receive it at the wedding. Let's see if she can give me a few more." Link exchanged a few pleasantries before walking straight into the library. In the past, when he was not influential, he could still speak normally. Now that his influence was at 8 points, a casual joke from him would make these staff feel like they were bathing in a spring breeze. They would feel that he was kind and even worship him. In just a few sentences, Link saw that many of the female staff's eyes had lit up. Sigh, Ying Luo's damn charm. Chapter 316 Anger. On the way to the librarian, Link used up the 5 experience books. He didn't know if it was because he was in high spirits, but his luck was pretty good. He earned a total of 82,000 experience points from the 5 books. In an instant, the experience pool's data became 819,000, close to 820,000 experience. Suddenly, Link stopped in his tracks. He saw the old librarian cleaning a bookshelf. "Teacher," said Link, "I'm here to talk to you about something." After not seeing him for a month, the librarian's white eyebrows had grown longer. As his body trembled slightly, the 2 long eyebrows rose and fell, making him look like a white caterpillar. The librarian looked at Link and was not calm either. "You don't deserve to be called a teacher. I didn't teach you anything, Ying Luo. It's not too late to teach now." Lin Ke finally felt the usefulness of having a high level of influence. Usually, the old librarian acted like an expert and rarely replied, treating his words like gold. However, when they saw Link this time, they were no longer enthusiastic. They were a little afraid. Striking while the iron was hot, Link said, "I feel like I've entered some kind of shackle. I asked a friend who had broken through the shackles before, and he said that the best way to break through the shackles was to master it and walk a path of your own. That's why I want to create a skill that's unique to me, so I'm here to ask you to teach me." The librarian stroked his white beard and sized up Link. He sighed. "I've seen many geniuses before, but none of them can compare to you. Whether it was personal strength or social influence, you were improving at a speed that subverted ordinary people's perception. I didn't expect you to reach this level in such a short time. It seems that you're not far from the Wealth of Knowledge mission." Zhuge Wanjun was Lin Ke's class mission. The requirement was to meet his class mentor at level 50, who was also a librarian. Link was not a scholar in his previous life, so he did not know what was behind this mission. However, from the looks of it now, it seemed that the content of this mission preparation was not small. The librarian didn't give an opinion first, but continued to ask, "You want to create your own skill, have you considered what path you want to take?" The librarian was also a scholar and knew that this class could learn 4 different super systems, so he asked. Hearing how professional his mentor was, Link immediately felt that there was a chance. If he couldn't give any suggestions, the librarian would definitely say some chicken soup for the soul and let Link think of a way. "I've already mastered a lot of pugilist skills. Since I'm a erudite, I naturally can't be biased towards any subject. Therefore, for this self-created skill, I want to take the path of mysticism." The librarian pondered for a moment and mumbled, "The Department of Mysticism, hey. That's a good path indeed. I don't have many occultism skills," Link added, "so I hope you can give me some pointers. Let me see what you've learned." The old librarian's eyes suddenly widened, and a sharp light burst out of his eyes. Link suddenly felt as if he had been seen through. Poison, coin divination, eye of the beast, bullet of misfortune, hidden weapon, charging fist, rapid movement, crane form fist. The librarian suddenly paused, and then let out a yo. "Apocalypse, you've been reborn from Li Zijun, the leader of the fox hunting special forces in Shadu. Not bad, I didn't expect you to have even learned this unique skill." The librarian continued to read and suddenly shivered. You even obtained the legendary skill of Painter John?" Link quickly helped the tutor to sit down and gently massaged his back, afraid that he would die if he gasped. The old man panted for a long time before returning to normal, but his voice was much hoarser than before, as if there was a mouthful of thick phlegm stuck in his throat. "It seems that you don't need to create your own skills in the pugilist class. The mysticism class is very good, very good. Your apocalypse was born from Li Zijun's military killing fist, so you should have some understanding of killing intent. And your man in the mirror skill was taught to you by John. You must be familiar with energy fields. Your coin divination and misfortune bullet are also about good and bad luck. Since that's the case, I know what to do. The old man's face suddenly glowed as he asked, when Li Zijun was talking to you about breaking through the shackles, she must have told you about the past, right? Lin Ke stared at the wardens and nodded. He suddenly felt a sense of danger. The wardens had only glanced at him once, but they seemed to know everything. Qi is a type of energy field. Every type of Qi has a different nature and has different effects. You've mastered killing intent and energy field, so you're considered to have reached the basic level of Qi. I suggest that you go to the Mysterious Area's third row, a bookshelf, first level, 13th book, the Mysterious Area's 7th row, C bookshelf, 3rd level, 5th book, and the Mysterious Area's 8th row, B bookshelf, 2nd level, 3rd book from the bottom. Go find these 3 books and study them well, perhaps you can find a way to create your own. Link went to these 3 places to get the books as the librarian had asked him to. Finally, he sat down at the desk with the 3 books. The 3 books were all thread-bound ancient books, namely geomancy, basic understanding of sorcery, and key sequences. Link placed the 3 books in front of him, his brows furrowed. These 3 books didn't seem to have much to do with the mystical skills that he had just created. Moreover, after reading these 3 items, what he learned were basically some auxiliary skills of the huckster. Would they really be helpful for his self-created skills? Link thought for a moment before diving into the sea of books. Forget it, I'll trust the administrator this time. There are still 2 skill bars left anyway. Even if this path doesn't work, there are other ways. An hour later, Link had finished reading all 3 books. They activated geomancy, shaman witchcraft, and tarot secret skill. With a wave of his hand, Lin Ke used 50,000 experience points to upgrade all 3 skills to level 10. The 3 skills were basically used to see feng shui or predict events, and their functions were similar to coin divination. If one had to point out a difference, it could be the system. Geomancy was an Eastern system, shamanism was inherited from the tribes and villages, and the tarot secret technique was a standard Western system. The only thing that comforted Link was that he had gained 30 energy points and 5 luck points by maxing out the 3 skills. Then, Link looked for the administrator again. I've already completely integrated the contents of the 3 books. Teacher, can you point out the direction of self-creation now? The librarian's eyes were filled with satisfaction, and he began to explain: murderous aura, energy field, good luck, bad luck, geomancy, life and death, spiritual aura of witchcraft, astral secret aura of the tarot secret technique, aura of power, aura of wealth, aura of fame. You're now surrounded by a lot of invisible and untouchable qi. What you need to do is to observe this qi, sense its existence, and make it yours to use. So this move is called qi qi. The librarian chuckled. Take your time. I have a feeling that this will be a skill that's no weaker than Apocalypse. 317 Diamond Grade Bounty. At this moment, the system mission was updated again with a more detailed explanation. Mission Road to Promotion content updated. Establishing mission hint: create a unique skill based on Qi. Everything in the world has Qi. Qi was an invisible thing, but it was also an essential and objective law for the operation of all things. Discover Qi and master Qi. You will be able to see the inevitable patterns of things' development and even predict the development of things. Detailed requirements of the mission, please expand. Lin Ke opened the mission's detailed requirements and immediately saw a long list of requirements. It looked like a long rolled-up receipt that was used to buy things at the supermarket. Killing or kill 10 level 20 elites, 0/10. Energy field energy attribute, 60 points, 52/60. Good luck attribute reaches 30 points, 18/30. Bad luck cause 10 elites no lower than level 20 to feel bad luck, 0/10. Geomancy of 5 treasured lands, 0/5. Witchcraft communicate with 5 souls, 0/5. Tarot secret technique divination of the identities of 5 strangers, 0/5. Heir of power make Kylan Hall the top gang in Shandu, completed. Wealth reaches 10 million, 724/1000. Fame influence reached 7 points, completed. After reading the 10 mini-missions, Link felt that he was in big trouble. At the same time, Link was sure that the librarian was not lying. All these quests were just for one skill. Then the skills level was definitely guaranteed. 10 types of invisible chi, 10 tasks. Now that the mission had been updated, the direction was set. The mission prompt had already stated clearly that as long as Link completed these missions, he would be able to master and control chi. It was not a problem to kill people with a smile, judge the weather, or even predict the future. This was what Link had analyzed from the mission hints. He would only understand the true power of the skill when he truly understood it. Thank you, teacher. I already have a direction. Link thanked her sincerely. The librarian chuckled and stroked his grizzled beard, returning to the air of an expert. Then I hope you can discover your own skill as soon as possible. I'm also very curious about what kind of skill it will be. Link said goodbye to the librarian and left the library area. On the way, Link kept staring at the 10 missions and analyzed them. He really did see some clues. First of all, the missions of killing intent and bad luck overlapped. One was to kill 10 elites above level 20, while the other was to let them feel bad luck. Then, before killing them, Link could use the misfortune bullets to hit them and complete both missions at the same time. It was even easier to talk to souls. He just had to go to the Moon Shadow Council. There were as many druid souls as he wanted under the Noah Divine Tree, and he could even have a tea party. To divine a stranger, Benjamin's wedding would be in 3 days' time. There would be many socialites attending, and it would be a small problem for him to take the opportunity to divine it. The mission only required the candidate to be the first one to get out of the city. Therefore, they could try to get out of the city by visiting many scenic spots or famous buildings in Shandu. As for the energy field and luck, he was 8 points short of the energy attribute and 12 points short of the luck attribute. Link now had 20 potential points and could add them on the spot to complete both. In the end, his wealth would reach 10 million, and it was only a matter of time before Penny, the penguin, became the head of the Lens group. After analyzing the whole process, the most difficult part was actually killing 10 elites that were not lower than level 20. Link pouted. His identity was now widely known, and it would be too embarrassing for him to personally assassinate someone. Moreover, there were less than 10 level 20 elites in the upper echelons of the 4 great factions. If it really doesn't work, I can only wear a human skin mask and learn from Li Zijun to fight in the octagonal cage in the underground boxing ring. After mumbling to himself, Link added 20 potential points to his energy and luck. Energy field energy attribute reaches 60 points, completed. Good luck attribute has reached 30 points, completed. Lin K left the library after the staff members bade him farewell. The female staff members even lined the streets to send him off. Speaking of Link's feelings, it was a little tight. Link walked down the 365th step and suddenly turned around. The driver behind him didn't react in time. He stopped in his tracks and was about to jump out. But Link quickly blocked it. "Boss, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." The driver's forehead was full of sweat. It was his first time being a driver on a mission, and he had an accident. He was extremely panicked. "Go start the car." Link patted the young man's shoulder and then focused his attention on the Grand Library. The library was surrounded by rows of high-rise buildings, but this place was the only place with a wide view. The purple air from the east was not attacked by the wind, but it was dissipating. It was obviously a pattern of hiding the wind and absorbing the chi. Below the gate stairs was the main road uptown. The long road opened at the gate, which was the white tiger pattern. Bright hall, white tiger, wind hiding and chi, these obviously matched the feng shui characteristics described in geomancy. Link was overjoyed after analyzing the situation. This was because the mission's progress had become 1/5. Obviously, the analysis of these famous buildings would be counted as progress. Link turned around and got into the car. He was in a good mood. As a result, there was one less headache-inducing task. If he didn't, he would have to travel all over the place to find unexplored places with good feng shui. How long would he have to complete this task? Xiaolu, you'll have to work harder today. Take me to the city hall, the central garden, the Moros building, and the Colosseum. I'm not tired, the driver, Lu, quickly nodded. It's my honor to help, boss. Lin Ke was in a good mood, so he started chatting with Lu in the car. Lu, I remember that your family lives on a commercial street, right? Little Lu was flattered. He didn't expect his busy boss to remember that he came from the commercial street. He nodded and said, yes, I am. After the Kylin Hall issued a recruitment notice, my parents asked me to participate, saying that the treatment after entering the Kylin Hall is good, and that the fighters of the Kylin Hall are very easy to talk to, sensible, and well educated, completely different from the previous fighters. Then do your best. Those who can pass the Kylin Hall's assessment can be a small leader in any force outside. Believe me, you will have a bright future in Kylin Hall. Just as Lin Ke finished his sentence, his phone suddenly rang. Lin Ke frowned when he saw Manager Thomas's name on the screen. What was the manager of Platinum Hotel calling for? Hello, Manager Thomas rarely calls me. Tomar, who was on the other end of the call, paused for a moment and said, today, I'm here to congratulate Mr. Lin for being promoted to Platinum Hotel's Diamond Rank Bounty member. Link's expression darkened. Lady Gan, is this worth congratulating? P.S. Wanjun has to go out during the day, so I only have 2 chapters to add today. In addition, Wanjun had made a mistake in the part about Simon. Simon's rank should be Viscount, not Baron. Everyone, clear your brains and make some changes to your CPU. I'll also change the previous chapters. Chapter 318, A Secret Deal with Platinum Hotel. Hehe, thank you so much for telling me this good news, Manager Thomas. I'm not here for anything special, just to congratulate you, Thomas said bluntly. After all, those who could get a diamond bounty were all recognized by society. Not only is Master Lin famous in Shandu, but he's also on the list of all the platinum hotels on the entire wasteland. Hearing that his reputation had increased, Link's eyebrows twitched. His anger had subsided. Since it was something that could increase his reputation, then so be it. How many people are on the diamond bounty list now? Link asked. What's my bounty rank now? Link heard the clatter of ancient mechanical keyboards. Then Thomas said, your current bounty is 3.2 million, ranked 21st on Wasteland Stars bounty list. Link had jumped from an unknown gold bounty to the 21st place on the entire Wasteland planet. He had completed a perfect 3-level jump. Aren't you going to ask me who put a huge bounty on you? Thomas tried to tempt him. Link was unmoved. He even wanted to laugh. If you could say it, you would have said it long ago. Why bother? Despite Link's words, he could roughly guess who was rich enough to spend so much money. The 4 major forces in the slums definitely didn't have that much money. The other 3 commanders, who were the Mun Kingdom's old rivals, definitely wouldn't spend that much money on the bounty to get rid of Link. They would rather use the army's own methods to solve the problem. The answer was obvious. The only person who had the money and the motive was the economic Emperor Moros. Link guessed that Moros put a bounty on him not to avenge Kolar, but because Link had embarrassed him. Moros seemed to be a heartless person, but he would never be angry at his subordinates. Moros only had himself in his eyes. If Kohler was killed by Link before his identity was recognized, Morose would not say a word. He might even applaud Link. However, after Tai appeared to save Kohler, he had revealed Moro's identity to Link many times. Link still killed Kohler without giving Morose any face. Therefore, the diamond bounty was just a way for Morose to maintain his reputation. Link knew Morose so well because in version 1.0 of the Son of God's Descent, there was a video of the elderly player on the forum. The video analyzed the personalities of the leaders of the major forces and was well reasoned, even gaining the approval of the official platform. Link had only watched 2 episodes. One was about the passionate killer John, and the other was about the hero Morose. The video even compared Morose to Cao, the kind of hero who would rather betray the world than let the world betray him. That was why Link had a deep impression of him. From Mr. Lin's tone, it seems like you already know who it is. Thomas was still trying to get information out of Link. Mr. Thomas, if you have anything to say, just say it. After all, I'm an assassin personally recommended by John, said Link after a moment of silence. Thomas laughed and praised, Mr. Lin, you're indeed a straightforward person. Your potential has exceeded our expectations, and you're now under the 3 largest forces in the Sand City. Mr. Derek feels that the Platinum Hotel has not taken good care of you enough, so it's not too late to raise the stakes now. This time, Link understood. It turned out that Link had become stronger now. Alonso had given Link the position of battalion commander of the Special Operations Battalion and set up an independent organization parallel to the Special Forces, the Land Force, the Air Force, and the Special Forces. The Kylan Hall was the 5th largest gang in the slums. The other 4 gangs were like paper to the Kylan Hall. As long as he wanted to, he could take down any of them at any time. In the previous battle, Link had already shown off his muscles and powerful combat power. Ever since Link took over the Kylan Hall, he had not been to the Platinum Hotel. Derek, the current ruler of the underground black market, had belatedly realized that Link had grown to a point where he needed to look directly at him. This was why he had ordered Thomas to be kind. However, in Lin K's opinion, the best art of choosing a side was not to have no side. Instead, it was when each side had a small side. It allowed many parties to reach a perfect balance. Oh, as expected of Mr. Derek, you can still think of me at a time like this. I'm really touched. I wonder what the Platinum Hotel wants to add. Link's tone was frivolous and arrogant. After all, the Kylan Hall was developing well. He didn't lack money or power. Trying to move people with gold was basically useless to him. With the price Mr. Derek offered, all of Mr. Lin's future expenses at the Platinum Hotel in Shadow will be paid for by us. In addition, all information on the Platinum Hotel will be shared with Mr. Lin. I wonder if this condition can prove our sincerity. Link was silent for a moment. It had to be said that the conditions offered by the Platinum Hotel were indeed attractive. The Platinum Hotel had a lot of custom-made equipment and materials, as well as the most important intelligence information, which was what Link needed the most. The Platinum Hotel has invested a lot of money, so they must have a motive. Since we've already made it clear, I hope Manager Thomas can tell us the truth. Thomas pondered for a while, and his sigh could be heard over the phone. The Platinum Hotel in Shadow is doing very well. The Shining, who is ranked first on the assassin list, is also under the Platinum Hotel in Shadow. But unfortunately, although the Shining was affiliated with them, they did not belong to the Platinum Hotel, but another force. The appearance of the Inhumans has broken our understanding, so the Platinum Hotel in Shadow is in urgent need of a top assassin of their own force to ensure that any accidents happen. Based on our understanding of the battle that day, John seems to have taught you his mirror man skill, so you've become our favorite. Link understood. To put it bluntly, the Platinum Hotel in Shadow was now the #1 hotel. And the Platinum Hotel in Shadow learned that it had mastered the skills of the painter John. In their eyes, he was the same as a rising top killer. In addition to Link's relationship with the Platinum Hotel in Zhuge Wanjun, he was much more reliable than the spirits, who were tools developed by the United Pharmaceutical Company. Thank you for your honesty. I agree to this deal. Link agreed to Thomas's deal. To Link, the deeper he came into contact with it, the greater the range of control he could have. Since he had decided to assassinate Alonso with John, Zhuge would definitely be in chaos. At that time, he would have 3 identities, and he would be able to do whatever he wanted in Shandu. He would definitely be able to eat a lot. Thank you for your favor, Mr. Lin. We won't let you down. Thomas's voice of relief came from the other end of the phone. Chapter 319 Bad People in the Slums, 2 in 1. Link's identity had once again expanded, and he could now easily deal with the 3 emperors of the Sand Capital. Since he had gotten Thomas's promise, Link decided to cash in on it as soon as possible. It just so happened that he still had 2 mechanical blueprints that he needed Dave to make, so he could go to the underground black market. Link went to the City Hall, the Central Garden, the Moros Building, and the Colosseum, successfully completing the Feng Shui observation mission. Little Lu, let's go back to Kylin Hall first. In the afternoon, you will bring me to the underground black market. As soon as Link returned to the inner courtyard to retrieve the 2 blueprints, Penny the penguin came to him. A red scarf, black sunglasses, and a mobile phone. He had the style of a nouveau riche boss. Boss, you're right. Today, the Hidden Alliance, Dasaki, the Freemasonry, and the Inland Water Gang are all recruiting on a large scale, and they all have a 10% to 15% increase on the previous standard salary base. However, according to the information we received, the situation is not very good. Of course, Link laughed. Ever since the Kylin Hall started recruiting, we've greatly increased the standard of income and quality of life for our members. We also strictly implement an 8-hour working system with 3 shifts. We also have a strict assessment and promotion system. The other forces tried to trick others into working for them by raising their salaries a little. It was possible in the past, but it won't work now. According to the slum residents, they had no choice in the past, so they could only swallow their anger. Now that they had a choice, who would want to go to the other sects to die? Not to mention that the other gangs had low wages and treatment, and their character was not respected. For example, the forces in the slums could tell that the Kylin Hall's rise was inevitable as long as they were not stupid. Since the 4 major gangs failed to encircle and suppress the Kylin Hall, they could no longer stop the rise of the Kylin Hall. In this battle, Link had also revealed many of his trump cards. The Beast Army was like a flood, and the fighters under them were all fully armed, not any weaker than the military. He was an elder of the mysterious Moon Shadow Council. And now, he was the battalion commander of the Special Operations Battalion. With so many identities, it was like a death-free golden medallion. Under such circumstances, what was the difference between joining another organization and joining the KMD in 1949? Most people chose to wait and see, and only a few were forced to join these forces. However, compared to the number of casualties in the war, the number of people who joined was just a drop in the bucket. I'll start carrying out the plan in the afternoon. This time, not only will they not be able to recruit any manpower, but they will also feel despair. The penguin, Penny, rubbed its hands excitedly, eager to see the other gangs suffer even more. After eating and resting, Link took the Impulse Power Boots blueprint and the Pulse Signal Bomb blueprint and asked Lu to drive him to the underground black market. When Link arrived at the shadowy alley, the beggar lying on the bench at the entrance got up in shock. His body trembled as he lowered his head respectfully. "Hello, Mr. Lin." Just as Link took out the coin, the beggar quickly said, "I don't dare to charge you a ticket, Mr. Lin. Please come in." As he spoke, he opened the vending machine's door. Link walked into the dark dance floor. When the security guard saw Link's face, he was shocked as if he had seen a ghost. Then the deafening music stopped and the normal light came on. There was a burst of noisy scolding on the dance floor, and the men and women who were enjoying the fun were filled with righteous indignation. However, before they could curse, they saw Link walking past them. Everyone went silent and their faces turned pale. The person who had been cursing the most just now knelt on the ground, his legs giving way. Link didn't even look at them the entire time. He walked straight through the dance floor and entered the black market through a secret door. After Link left, the atmosphere on the dance floor was still frozen. The entire place was so silent that you could hear a pin drop. The only thing you could hear was the thumping of your heart. Gulu. The security guard in sunglasses swallowed his saliva. Was this the aura of a big boss? It was so terrifying. This was not the end. When Link arrived at the underground black market, the situation did not change. In fact, it worsened. The passers-by and peddlers all stopped what they were doing and watched Link leave. Lu, who was following behind Lin Ke, was completely dumbfounded. Perhaps this was the aura of the new boss of the slums. Lu, you can take a look around the black market. I'll call you when I'm done. Xiao Lu quickly nodded, indicating that he would be on standby. During his training, Lu had been taught not to disobey his boss's orders. He just had to do what his boss said. Lin Ke had thought that he would only be influential at the macro level and that his every move would affect the game's development. He just didn't expect that at the individual microscopic level, the effect seemed to be even more shocking. In the bustling black market, Link was like a ghost that sucked in people's joy and emotions. Everywhere he went, it was silent. Link could even smell the trembling in the air. As usual, Dave was working in his small car shop. The originally lively bargaining atmosphere seemed to have frozen and came to an abrupt end. Dave looked up curiously and was surprised to find someone standing in front of his stall. His mechanical squirming glasses suddenly contracted, and the tools in his hands fell on the table. Dave's lips trembled as he said, "MMR Lin." Link glanced behind him. The stunned crowd immediately lowered their heads, not daring to make eye contact with Link. "I have some things to discuss with you, but there are too many people here. Look at Qian." Dave immediately shivered and put down his work. He packed up the dining car shop as fast as he could and brought Link to the warehouse where he had stored his materials. Looking at Dave's cautious face, which was full of fear of retaliation, Link couldn't help but laugh. "Don't worry, I'll definitely do what I promised you. No matter what, we're old acquaintances. It's not like we'll turn against each other just because our status is a little higher now. The main reason I'm here is to ask you to help me make these 2 blueprints." Link said as he took out the 2 blueprints. Dave saw the blueprint and his eyes immediately lit up. This Kazaya is actually the blueprint for the impact power boots and the blueprint for the pulse signal bomb. These are both rare and good things. After saying that, Dave realized that Link was still beside him. He quickly wiped the drool from the corner of his mouth and said, "I can create the real thing, but these blueprints are all limited. They will self-destruct after a limited number of times. I know that. I just want to know how long it will take you to finish all the finished products." Dave carefully checked the raw materials needed for the drawings and rummaged through the warehouse. "It'll all be done in an hour." "All right, I'll come and find you in an hour." With that, Link headed straight for the Platinum Hotel. When Link appeared at the entrance of the Platinum Hotel, the attendant at the entrance was dumbfounded. Even when Link walked through the revolving door, he was still in a daze. When Thomas saw Link, he was also stunned. 2 hours ago, they had just confirmed their partnership through a phone call. She did not expect Link to come to the Platinum Hotel so soon to enjoy the service. Thomas quickly restrained his expression and stepped forward to welcome him. "Mr. Lin, you're an important guest." Link put his hands behind his back and smiled faintly. I'm here to pick up something." Thomas immediately understood and led Link to the Platinum Hotel's equipment exhibition floor. He then cleared the entire floor. This was what it meant to be dignified. Lin Ke was uninterested in equipment. The most inferior equipment he had on him right now was superior equipment, and he even had 2 pieces of epic equipment. He was no longer interested in the low-tier blue and green equipment from Platinum Hotel. However, he could still give it to his subordinates as a reward if he did not wear it. Lin Ke felt like he was in a wet market. These pieces of high-quality equipment were like cabbages in his eyes. Other people had to spend a lot of money and search for equipment to buy it, but Link bought it with a wave of his hand. Thomas followed behind and saw Link's flamboyant actions. He was in so much pain that he grimaced in pain. The equipment provided by the Platinum Hotel did not come from nowhere. Instead, he had hired a top-tier mechanic or forger to forge it. Now, in order to win over Lin Ke, he had to pay a huge price. Not only did he choose his weapons and equipment, he also visited Platinum Hotel's art collection room to see if he could find any more fragments of the Zerg nest. However, he was greatly disappointed this time. After a round, he only took a pharaoh's staff and a small statue of the death god Anubis. Just pack up the things I've chosen and send them to the Kylin Hall. There's a lot of stuff and my car can't fit all of them. Thomas's mouth twitched. So you also know that you took a lot of things. Don't worry, Mr. Lin. We'll send the list to the Kylin Hall as soon as we're done. After finishing his trip to Platinum Hotel, Link took 5 pairs of impact power boots and 5 pulse signal bombs from Dave. You should get ready. I think I'll be going to the desert sometime next month. I'll bring you along. Dave's eyes lit up when he heard that Link was indeed planning to go to the desert. He nodded repeatedly. So you'd better prepare what you want to bring in advance. We may set off at any time. Link returned satisfied. As soon as he returned to the Kylin Hall, Link heard a few big news. The Kylin Hall began to recruit again, and the applicants gathered. Shandu TV station was even willing to provide the venue for Xiong's breakthrough and advertise for Kylin Hall for free. They also designed many new checkpoints, as well as advertising fees and ratings bonuses. Fred, who was in charge of the business, was smiling with his eyes wide open. Once upon a time, he was just a bottom-tier member of the gang. Now, he was surrounded by people everywhere he went. Even the Shandu TV station took the initiative to contact him and called him Sir. Their attitude changed from being arrogant to being respectful, afraid that he would refuse. After discussing the details, Fred finally settled on the relevant issues. When the recruitment advertisement for Kylin Hall appeared on the TV station in Shandu, the whole slum area was in an uproar. After a month of absence, Kylin Hall finally started a new recruitment plan. This time, the recruitment was not only limited to Kylin Hall, but also the entire Lin's group. There were all sorts of positions, from the staff of the business street, the finance department of the corporation, the members of the gang, the staff of the shops under the company. In terms of wages and benefits, Kylin Hall was once again ahead of all the other sects. They introduced an advanced business model, with an 8-hour labor system, 2 days of rest per week, gifts during festivals, and 20% off on purchases within the Lin Group's territory. There would also be bonuses if they completed their monthly KPI, and their wages and benefits were more than 50% higher than the market. However, this set of detailed recruitment benefits was simply a dimension-lowering strike to the other forces in the slums. Needless to say, when the people in the slums saw the recruitment advertisement, they immediately went to the commercial street to register. The entire commercial street was packed with people. In contrast, the recruitment sites of other forces were deserted. In addition, in the afternoon, under Bob's lead, the hit team of Kylin Hall attacked 2 buffer zones and 1 area occupied by the Hidden Alliance. The area occupied by the Hidden Alliance was originally White Crane Hall's territory. Later, Old Crane and Dracula made a deal and took over the territory. Although Link had left the gang, he still had to take back the territory that belonged to him. In addition, the merchants in the occupied areas had secretly written a few chicken feather letters to Bob and even provided intelligence to help distract the territory guards. Faced with such a warm-hearted businessman, Bob could only reluctantly accept this piece of land. No one had expected that in just one afternoon, the Kylin Hall's actions would be so decisive that the four major forces had no time to take care of themselves. They wanted to send more people to patrol, but they were afraid that they would be eaten up bit by bit. However, if they didn't send more manpower, their territory would be taken away. What was even more infuriating was that they couldn't recruit anyone. On the other hand, there were hundreds and thousands of people lining up for the job at the Kylin Hall business street, forming a sharp contrast. Late at night, Link went to the Colosseum. The Moon Shadow Council's druids were all Link's fangirls. After learning that Link was here, they all stopped what they were doing just to see him from afar and admire the divine druid. That's right, the elite druid reinforcements that the fifth elder brought had vividly described what they saw that night. Link controlled countless beasts to attack the four forces. He destroyed the enemy's elite formation all by himself. The leaders of the four major forces in the slum all ran away like stray dogs. To be able to control so many pets and be an elder of the Moon Shadow Council, these druids naturally thought of Link as a god-level druid. Among the Moon Shadow Council's druids' private comments, Link had undoubtedly reached the top of the druids' favorite elder list. He had even received more votes than the other elders combined. He was no longer in second place. Not only did Link talk to the elders, but he also had a friendly conversation with the druid apprentices. He even talked to the druid soul living in the Noah Divine Tree's shadow. Here, Link also realized that the silly son Xiao Xiao Shat, who had been sent here, had become the overlord of the Noah Divine Tree. He had basically killed all the owls in the Noah Divine Tree. Now that it was flying, there were at least 20 to 30 owls following behind it. According to the fifth elder, 17 of the owls were already pregnant, and they would be able to give birth to new members soon. When the fifth elder said this, he was excited and gratified. It was the same for Link. The two of them saw the sincere joy in each other's eyes. Chapter 320 An Uneasy Wedding, 2 in 1. Link had spent 2 hours in the Moon Shadow Council and gained a lot of favorability. Although the Moon Shadow Council was still revered, Link believed that as long as he raised his arms and shouted, many druids would really respond to him. Link observed that there were quite a few similar zealots. These druid zealots would be important resources in the future. Link would definitely plant the branch of the Tree of God in the castle. With his reputation, he would be able to attract many druids to join the Weeping Canyon. With a druid mentor, wouldn't there be an endless stream of players who chose to become a mystic druid? After leaving the Moon Shadow Council, Link took care of the hidden guards behind him. Then, he took out the holographic skin mask in an empty alley. Based on his memory, Link made up the faces of the Dasaka higher UPS he had seen on the day of the battle. He then put on the red robes of the Freemasonry elders he had prepared. It was not easy to find 10 elites above level 20. Link had also made full use of this hunting opportunity to sow discord between the four forces. Now, every force was tense under the high pressure of the Kylin Hall, and the emotions of their members had reached the critical point of collapse. Once there were many uncontrollable dangers, it would be very easy to cause a mutiny. Link wanted to cast another dark cloud over the four forces. He wanted to be the matchstick that lit up the gunpowder barrel. Because they had completed the second part of the Seamless Gate mission, the 3 spies now had a lot of authority in their respective organizations. Thus, according to the information that had been sent in over the past 2 days, Link was extremely familiar with the daily activities and habits of the 3 gangs higher UPS. Today, he was going to attack one of the shamans in Dasaki. After putting on the skin mask and disguising himself, Link walked from the Colosseum to the street where Dasaki was. In less than 10 minutes, Link had arrived at a nightclub that the shaman often patronized. This shaman witch doctor served a god of desire, so he came to this nightclub almost every night to search for a woman who satisfied the god of desire and brought her upstairs to release his energy. Today was no exception. Because he came every day, the shaman had his own fixed room in the nightclub. Link rented a room next to the shaman's room and closed his eyes, patiently waiting for him to arrive. Half an hour later, a woman's coquettish voice could be heard in the corridor. After a while, the sound of clothes being taken off came from the opposite room, followed by a series of moans that made people's blood boil. Link slowly stood up and walked to the wall. His fingers rubbed against the wall and pressed 3 dots. Whoosh! Link whistled, and the shaman, who was killing with his spear, suddenly stopped plowing and piling. He frowned and turned to look at the source of the sound. The whistle sounded familiar, but he could not recall where he had heard it before. The shaman stared at the wall for a while. Suddenly, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets and his face turned pale. He finally remembered where the voice came from. The fear of being dominated by Link in the garbage dump of the slums came back. Shua shua shua. 3 arrows pierced through the wall, and the huge force directly dragged the shaman and nailed him to the wall. The wall gradually disintegrated, and an elder in a red robe walked out. The mind of the woman on the bed had gone blank, and she had lost the ability to shout. When the shaman saw the Freemasonry's red-robed elder, he gasped for breath and raised his hand in disbelief. But Link didn't give him a chance to think. He first fired a few bullets of misfortune at the shaman. Then he appeared behind the shaman and took him away with a series of backstabs. The blood from the cut throat sprayed out with hot air, splashing on the floor and the woman's body. The woman was so scared that she fainted. In order not to leave any symbolic evidence, Link cut off the head of the shaman and nailed it to the wall in a cross shape, like a Freemasonry trial. The next day, when Link woke up early in the morning, he saw the news of the death of the shaman, Dalsukji, in the gossip newspapers on the streets. Photos of the scene were also posted. The hands and feet were firmly nailed to the wall, and the head was cut off and placed aside. According to the testimony of the unconscious woman, it was proven that the incident was done by a Freemasonry elder in red. The moment Alan saw the wound, he understood the cause and effect and blamed it on the Freemasonry's deliberate revenge. On one hand, it was because of the problem of faith. On the other hand, it was because of the recruitment of new members. The Freemasonry definitely wanted to use this method to strike down the morale of Dasaki and declare that they still had influence in the slums. Alan took the opportunity to encourage the Shaman King to launch a counterattack against the Freemasonry. On the other hand, after the Freemasonry learned of the news, they held a meeting in St. Maria's Cathedral. In the end, it was confirmed that none of the red-robed elders had taken revenge on their own accord that night. I think this whole thing was directed and acted out by Dasaki. His head was cut off, and his identity couldn't be confirmed. He just wanted to find an excuse to attack us. These sorcery guys are really sinister, they don't mind tarnishing our name to attack us. Are they trying to see that we suffered the greatest losses in the last battle? Afu was filled with righteous indignation. After retorting, she said with a firm gaze, "Bishop, since things have come to this, if we don't make any response, the slums will think that we are afraid of Dasaki. For now, we have to strike first and confirm that Dasaki has lost a shaman." The red-robed cardinal thought for a moment and said, "Yes, I'll leave this matter to Elder Afu. I'm at ease with you handling this." Link had only attacked once. Alan and Afu were of the same mind and immediately started a war between the two forces. On the other hand, Kylan Hall was like a well-behaved child selling flowers on the street, harmless to humans and animals. For the next 2 days, Link continued his daily routine of killing one of the 3 major factions. He even disguised himself as a member of the water transportation gang and dragged them down with him. 3 days later, Link woke up early in the morning and changed into his latest tailored suit to attend Benjamin's wedding. Benjamin's wedding was arranged in the back garden of the commander's residence, and the guests were all the uptown influential and famous people. "Have you prepared the gifts?" Link walked out of the backyard. The driver today was one of the 3 deacons, Fred. He personally accompanied Link to the commander-in-chief's residence in the uptown. "Don't worry, boss." Fred nodded. "Everything's in place." "That's good." As one of Link's few friends in the Sand City, he had to give his sincere blessings to Benjamin's wedding. Soon, the car arrived at the house of the commander-in-chief in the upper city. This was the first time Link had visited Benjamin's house. Link was led to the wedding garden by the servant. Benjamin, who was chatting with the others, saw Link and immediately ran over. "Brother, you're here. How can I not come to your wedding?" Link then looked around the room and whispered to Benjamin, "Thanks to you, all the guests here today have a pig feast to eat." Hearing this, Benjamin took a deep breath. "Brother, are you going to reserve the entire fragrant pig banquet today? This gift is too big." "It's just an appetizer," said Link with a smile. "It's not a gift. This is the real gift." As soon as he said that, Fred came over with a handsome hound. "This hunting dog is my gift to you. It's the first hunting dog since the establishment of the Special Forces. And it will listen to your orders. When my employment ends, you'll be able to take full control of the Special Operations Battalion, and you'll have a stable position in the military." Benjamin took the leash and knelt down to stroke the hound's head. The hound was extremely obedient and didn't look violent at all. "Don't look down on this hound. Other than people at Captain Li's level, no one else is a match for it. Furthermore, you can control the entire Special Forces by commanding this king hound. Link is paving the way for your future. Benjamin, you have to thank him." Li Zijun's voice came from behind. Even though it was Benjamin's wedding, he was still dressed in his military uniform. Li Zijun knew the importance of this gift. It was simply to extend the life of the Mun family. As long as Benjamin raised this hound well, then he would be able to firmly control the Special Forces. In other words, Link's gift was to extend the Mun family's influence for another generation. "It's about your relationship with Brother Lin," Benjamin laughed. "You're being too polite. This little brat." Li Zijun shook her head helplessly. There was nothing she could do to this young master. "All right," said Link, patting his shoulder. "You're the most dazzling groom today. Put on a good show." Benjamin led the hunting dog and said to Li Zijun, "Brother Li, I have a new idea for the wedding procedures, Ying Ying." Even though it was Benjamin's wedding today, Link was still very popular. As a person with 3 identities in the Sand City, Link's influence was shocking. Especially in the recent period, when the other forces in the slums were in a chaotic war, only the Kylin Hall was sitting on the fishing boat. Everyone knew that it was only a matter of time before Link unified the entire slums. In addition, the Kylin Hall was constantly expanding its industrial development on Riverbank Avenue, and it seemed like it was going to buy the entire riverbank. Perhaps Link could become the first person in the history of the Sand Capital to rule over the slums and become the 4th most powerful force in the Sand Capital. Even the commander of the Mun Kingdom felt close to him after learning that Link had given Benjamin a hunting dog. Link had also used his strong influence to complete the tarot secret spell mission to divine the 5 strangers before the wedding officially began. Deng 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 deng. As the live band played the wedding march on time, the groom Benjamin held the bride Jenny's hand as they walked out of the room, stepping on the red carpet from the distance to the center of the wedding garden. Both of their faces were brimming with bright smiles, and the guests present were also immersed in laughter and sincere blessings. When it was time to exchange rings, Benjamin whistled and a hunting dog ran over excitedly from afar, holding a ring box in its mouth. The hound was the one that Link had given to Benjamin. So this brat's sudden idea was for this. Link glanced at the other 3 commanders who were watching the ceremony not far away. They all had ugly expressions. After all, Benjamin's action was to show them that he had the ability to lead the Special Operations Battalion. Compared to the kid from the Mun family, befriending Link would be of help to both her family and herself. On the other hand, the kid at home only knew how to walk his bird and dog all day and did not do anything serious. Apart from Commander Wimbledon's family, which had a few young men who held moderate positions in the military, none of the young men from the other 2 families had entered the army. Now that the Mun Kingdom's commander had taken the lead, it was a show-off. Commander Mun smiled with the other guests at the sight of this scene, but there was a trace of relief and pleasure in his smile. The two exchanged tokens and expressed their sincerity. Benjamin held the microphone and looked at Link, who was sitting in the first row. There's another piece of good news to announce. Brother Lin said that he's contracted for everyone's fragrant pig feast today. Let us express our most sincere gratitude to Mr. Lin. Link could not help but laugh. Benjamin even had to tell him something like this. However, the uptown nobles who attended the wedding were all fighting for the spots for the fragrant pig feast every week. When they heard that everyone present could eat the fragrant pig feast today, all of them were happy. Many nobles even gasped. There were at least 60 to 70 people present. A pig banquet with so many people would cost at least a few million. Link was truly the new boss of the slums. He could spend a lot of money without even blinking. Commander Mun, you're so lucky. Your son has a good relationship with Link. Not only is he willing to help Link in his career, but he's also willing to give away $1 million roasted pork banquet for his wedding. Sigh, the kids in my family don't have such good luck. Commander Wimbledon was a little envious. Commander Mun laughed. I can only say that Benjamin is lucky. He has met a benefactor. As soon as Commander Mun finished his sentence, the phone in his pocket rang. Commander Mun's smiling expression froze when he saw the number on the phone. He picked up the call and said, "Hello, this is Commander Mun. What happened?" At the same time, the other three commanders' phones rang one after another, and their expressions changed. "All right, I'll head back immediately." The four of them hung up the phone and looked at each other, their eyes extremely serious. Link, who was sitting at the side, saw the four commanders' expressions change at the same time. He suddenly had a bad feeling. "I'm sorry. Everyone, eat and drink well. The military has something to do and needs the four of us to go back and take charge of the situation." Commander Mun stood up to apologize to the guests, then Li Zijun whispered something in her ear and left quickly. "What happened?" Link asked Li Zijun as Benjamin and his family appeased the guests. Link was now also a member of the military, so Li Zijun did not shy away from it. There was an invasion in the laboratory. Some of the energy pillars were taken away by the Wasteland Gang and the Machinery Faith. At the same time, Fa Ye and Long Cheng also sent back news that some of the energy pillars were lost. "It's just as you said, they're here for the Inhumans." Link's brows relaxed. If that was the case, then it was fine. As the most critical part of the plot, only when the energy pillars were spread all over the place and the game was officially released could the players randomly appear in various places on Wasteland Planet. However, the next second, Link felt a chill down his spine. He suddenly felt a murderous intent directed at him. Moreover, this feeling was very familiar.